welcome to This Old Hobby Desk. Still working on naming of stuff. Uh, Coming to you, this is Jack, coming to you with a product review. I am going to be reviewing the Avanti 0.3 mil gravity-fed air dual action airbrush from Harbor Freight. I picked this up for $30, which is probably the second cheapest airbrush that I've ever bought. The other cheapest one being from Harbor Freight. That one was a suction that I think they no longer sell. That was a complete piece of garbage. But I have hope with this one. This one is marketed as being comparable to the Iwata Eclipse, I believe, is the what they're comparing it to. I know it's an Iwata something. I'm not a big Iwata user. I don't have any. So I have not opened this up to anything. Still got the tape there. So you're gonna get my first impressions of it. So let's go open this thing up with my handy Ryobi hobby knife that I am also testing. I love hobby aids, not game aids, but hobby aids. Any neat little thing, I will try out for the most part. I'm no John. I don't have all the hobby aids, but I have some hobby aids. So, see here. Comes a lot better package than what I would give it credit for. Let's go ahead and talk about the knee-jerk response people will have with it. A lot of people dislike Harbor Freight. Harbor Freight, the tools that vary. I have a ton of Harbor Freight stuff. Also, it's the Harbor Freight stuff I have is stuff that I use maybe once a year, and I don't want to go out and spend $300 on something I can buy $50 for. This is what I'm hoping will be a good entry-level airbrush for people. So far, little booklet. We have the high-density foam. We got a couple of wrenches. You saw me playing with trigger a second ago. It's a little crunchy for the air, but the pull honestly feels like it just needs a good lube right now. It's a good chrome finish. I want to say this is basically the same one you get with the air compressor kit. That one though has a black backing, has a cup on it. Looks like everything from the front end is removable. I think even this is removable. It is removable, so I won't get too crazy. So nice big gravity fed cup. A really tight lid on it. I wish I was lying about how tight that was. See here. There we go. Really polished opening, really small, feeding into it. Again, I don't know if you can hear that or not. I'm gonna move it next to the speaker or microphone. A little crunchy. So here, the cap is removable. Removable gaskets all around. Honestly, looks like a lot of the 105s that I have. So put that back on there. Tighten that back down. Remove zap some air on here. Hopefully it doesn't look to fit the same hose that I have already hooked up to my tank. So this could be entertaining here in a minute when I have to pause this video and go get an adapter and start again tomorrow. So I will probably oil this thing up, see if I can actually put some air through it, and then go from there. I was going back to oil this with my Badger oil. I have definitely seen better days. The needle coming out of here is sticking already, so I think a good lube and I think will be good on that. But I just want to make sure that that was pointing out like this is me trying to pull it out, and it just sticks a couple spots through there. Okay, so I was able to cobble together it to my hose at the cost of my quick disconnect slash regulator, so apparently I'm gonna have to just go in it raw this time. So again, still feels a little crunchy. I normally use a Chrome. This is a Chrome Renegade right here. I like the high roller trigger. I feel like it gets a little better control, a little bit more pull on it. So that's gonna be a big change for me on this one. I think the closest one that I probably have is probably gonna be with the 0.3 mil needle. It's going to be this Patriot 105, but also by Badger. So I'll keep this to the side. I'll test it after I get done with this. So I'm going to run some water through here quickly. Got a napkin as a little sample thing. Okay. Throw some ink into here. That way it shows up a little bit better. All right. There we go. And of course, there we go. Just making a big mess. Big mess. So, alright. So, nice cone. That trigger pressing down, that down function, isn't nearly as aggravating as I thought it would with how big of a step down it is. And I did lube up the pull action a little bit. Got some dots. See here if I can connect them. When it comes to airbrushing, I don't do anything crazy. Like try to do faces with it. I can write my name on it. So for a $30 airbrush, this is a win so far. Let's see this. You get some fine lines with it. Let me move this up a little bit so that. Yeah, this for a $30 airbrush. Not bad, like, sincerely. Obviously, I'm running watered down ink through here, so obviously, you know, that is, but not really sure how well that shows up. But it gets fine. Let me find. Throw some black ink in here. There we go. Unfortunately, you have to, let me cut this off here. Unfortunately, with it, you have to, at least on this one, you have to start off and then back off the trigger a little bit to get the air flowing just the way you want it. where a lot of ones you can rock into it and get what you want. If you're looking for a good brush to base coat, let's see here. Yeah, that will definitely get you some base coat action going on. Yeah. See here, the patented. Oop. Just like that, I'm out. So let's get some more. There you go. There we go. Up. It got a happy face. You know what that means. You don't know what that means because I just made it up. But yeah, for a $30 airbrush, if you're looking for a first-time airbrush, or just looking for something to throw down base coats with, like this is solid. Let me see about getting some adapters in for it so I can use my quick disconnect on it. So that I am not constantly switching back and forth. And I will put this in rotation, and I will retire this one for a brief second, the Patriot 105. I'm going to pause this video, clean this out real fast, and then I'm going to start taking it apart to see what makes this one tick. As I start disassembling here, it comes apart fairly easy like any other airbrush that I've had in the past with Badger. The back end does have a little adjustment screw on it so that you can nurse it, make sure the needle doesn't go back as far if that is something that you're used to. I just use straight finger for that. Needle came out fairly clean. The cup, the cup is hard to get clean with that small opening in it. I had to flush it out several times to get everything off of there. Removing the spring casing housing for it, it will pop out of here on me on a second. There's nothing that retains that spring on there or the action that holds the needle. You will actually see on the very end of that the trigger slide, where the trigger slides back and forth that, and right here in my hand you'll see the actual trigger itself that has the plunger that goes down into the air valve that releases the air valve. I haven't seen anything like that before. Here I am trying to get a better picture of it. This kind of rocks back and forth on that one. Not a really huge fan of it. I think that's part of what causes the crunchiness, as I call it, with the pressing down. It's like really hard. It clicks into place, which is for somebody who's used airbrushes for years now. That is very disconcerting because I've never had an airbrush that was working correctly that clicked down into place. Here is the trigger slide. It is pressed on there. I think with a brass piece. I'm not sure if you'll be able, if you were able to get it off. I'm not sure you'd be able to get it back on. It doesn't really have a good way of sliding or keying back into the end of the airbrush. What we'll see here in a second. Just looking at the rest of the pieces, I'll start disassembling the front end of it here in a second. Needle came off when I was disassembling the front half, fell onto the mat, taking out the cup. Again, getting this thing 100% clean is going to be a bear because of how the cup necks down into the actual airbrush bottle itself. Came apart fairly easy. I would, I'm gonna oil it back up and put it back together. The biggest issue is, for me, the cleaning of it and the amount of paint that is left in a cup. Right now I'm trying to get that plunger back home. There is no way to easily have it slide back in there and make you feel comfortable that is back into place. It's literally probably the hardest part about taking this apart and putting it back together. Right side where it's hinged, you're not going to lose it. Bad part about it is that you may lose your mind trying to put it back together. It took me several minutes, finally got it there. And like I said earlier, there's no way, this doesn't key in there any particular way. So I think I'm sitting there trying to figure out which way's up, because it's an odd shape. So there's definitely an up and a down to it, and I'm desperately trying to figure out which way's up and which way's down. Yeah, I'm just staring at it at this point. I think I finally get it. The little tab goes up, slides into the trigger groove, sits there, throw a little bit of oil on it, and then I'll throw the spring on it, and then the actual mechanism that kind of holds it all together. Outside of that, the front end all goes together fairly smoothly. Here I am spraying it after I clean it out, and there's still ink left in there. I did my normal routine as far as, rinsing it. I had, the needle out, ran it through my fingers. There's still, ink left in there. So that gives me some concern with the longevity of this airbrush. I know it's, the price point, makes it, seem, fairly like a fairly good investment. But if you cannot get it clean and it keeps jamming up the internals, what's the point of having it? The airbrush is a tool to make your job easier when it comes to painting these models. Be it, commission, or you're painting the whole entire army. You want the whole entire process to be easy. You don't want to be beating your head into a wall. Here I am, I rinsed it out some more. I feel like I finally got it clean. Just blew some water through it. Now for my next test, I'm actually going to grab a piece of resin and put some paint on it. Right here I have Vallejo Model Air Metal Color Air, probably the best air paint you can buy, and I'm gonna get a resin engine right here that I've base coated black the day before, just running through some primer that I had, and I put my normal amount for what I would probably base coat a majority of that in it, and quickly ran out. As I'm looking at the cup, it's not the fact that I ran out, it's the fact that the little lip of the cup going down into the feeder is beveled just enough, and there's just enough surface tension with the paint that it doesn't freely pour down in there. So you're left with, in my opinion, a lot of paint left in there. I'm a bit stingy when it comes to my paint, so I like to make sure I utilize as much as possible. But as far as like laying down paint, onto the actual model, it's fine. Like right now, I'm hitting it with little light pressures, picking out what I would do with a different color if I was detailing the engine. But what I keep running into is the lip of the cup retaining ink. I can move it around, slosh it around, it'll go through, but it just sits there. If you can see right there, you can see the little bit of liquid metal. I wish I used a different color ink, turn on light, but you can see the little bit color. That's all paint that's still left in there. That is just going to go to waste. Overall, if you're looking for a budget airbrush, it's a good place to start. If you are getting an airbrush and you're going to a class that's going to teach you how to airbrush, spend the money, get yourself on a wad, get yourself a Badger, something like that that's going to last you for a while. If you're not going in, if you're going in, straight, I'm going to figure this out myself, it's probably a good investment. My first airbrush was a Badger Chrome Renegade also, and I destroyed that within the first year that I had it, and ended up having to buy other airbrushes to replace it because I broke it so bad. So if you're looking for something that's going to throw down base coats, you can beat up and not feel bad if you get 3 months worth of use out of it. Buy it. If you're looking to invest in something that's going to last you for years and years and years to come, it's solid. I would pass it up unless something breaks on yours and you need an airbrush to get you over that hump for a Adepticon or getting your army done before a big tournament. So thank you very much, and I'll catch you next time.